Moving on then to the next section. This next section's about a vision for the capability needed for effective strategy delivery. And this is where our big perspective of what's needed starts to kick in. So then, some motherhood and apple pie stuff. Again, apologies for the simplicity of this, but all of our organizations have a purpose, at least I hope they do. I hope they're clear and communicated. And from that purpose, our boards can help us with an organizational vision from which the mission and the strategic direction can then be set. Strategy in terms of change, strategy in terms of new product development, strategy in terms of step up to business performance. We may well have a strategic plan, a strategy plan, which is a high-level roadmap of which aspects to this purpose and vision we'll be achieving in what sequence, with decision points along the way. We would hope that the strategic plan can then be turned into an operating plan. This is so the strategic plan is the direction and stepping stones. Operating plan is how we're going to do it while we operate. And then perhaps this then gets cascaded to managers, department heads, function heads to show their business planning, what resources they need to hit the targets and objectives and key results that they've been given as part of their function, and business cases to make for new products and changes that happen along the way. So this collection of stuff and how that cascades down, how we draw from those artifacts, what are the actionables that we can give to an organization, the objectives that we have. This information set, this structure, we refer to in big as the strategy information model. And it's in its whole, this collection is a collection of complete and coherent information that describes the strategy into the organization, not just in terms of documents. And each of these objectives, we'd expect to have some measurables against them. So if I have an objective to start a new business and turn over £5 million of new business in Wales, then I'll need some key results that I can set up as measurables to enable me to claim that I've done that very thing. So the strategy information model is very, very vital to us. But how are we going to operate it? How are we going to keep it live? How are we going to keep it current? What if our purpose changes? What if the environment changes? What if we have problems in delivery of one thing or another, which reduce the potential value of one strategic initiative or another? What if we see a bigger opportunity in one area or another? We have to, as David mentioned, we have to make sure our strategy is dynamic, responsive, and adaptive. We need to be agile and need to be able to change direction. And however good our strategy information model is, however flexible our strategy operating model is, we need to get that into the business. And the means to get that into the business and to get it delivered upon and kept in alignment is through an operating model for integrated governance. So these are the three fundamental core concepts: information model for strategy, operating model for strategy, operating model for governance through the business. And if you can take that on board, those are key things. This is moving on to Andre now to talk us through what are the components of a big capability. Andre, are you ready to roll?
David. In order to make sure that we have a clear vision of where we are going to improve business integrated governance, to improve the strategy delivery governance, we need to make sure that improvement of a big business integrated governance operating model requires putting that in a context. First, we have elements that are covering strategy perspective, those that were mentioned by David, including strategy information model and strategy operating model. This is like an input to business integrated governance operating model. On the other side, we've got enablers. So it's like foundation of how we're going to execute and support everything that will be coordinated and driven by governance operating model. That includes processes, which cover business, benefit realization, change, performance management, portfolio, resource management. So these are all the processes that go all across the organization and make sure that strategy can be really enabled and executed as planned, or will be adjusted according to some input and internal or external triggers that we can scan and track. Also, there are some set of tools that will support please get back to that. That will support that execution, including OKR tools, PPM, project portfolio management system, some financial tools, and some other tools that will support that. But in the heart of this big operating model, we've got 8 components that provide very clear requirements to the elements of the governance model that are important to cover. And I will explain them a little bit. So first, let's start with organization. So we need to make sure that organization is clearly identified in terms of entities, as we call them, from the business as usual perspective, change and value generation. So sometimes we see that the borderline, the scope of business as usual, daily operation, change, they're very vague and not clear. Without that, we cannot make sure that the accountability, another component we'll touch upon later on, can be clearly assigned and maintained throughout the strategic cycle. So second point, let's pick up accountability. So it's very important to make sure that besides somebody who is responsible for delivering certain changes and leading certain functions, we have accountability, somebody who is finally in charge of and finally accountable for delivering what we put in strategy information model for the objectives, for the purpose in general. So lack of the accountability, which is very tightly attached to organization, is one of the key bottlenecks why we can't execute what we planned. So next point, next component is governance. Governance is how we're making decision, what are the decision-making bodies, how they're connected, how they're aligned to each other, what are the agendas for the meetings that are attached to these governance bodies, and how they align to accountability. Without proper decision-making system, actually we will fail in making fast, relevant decisions whenever we need them. But in order to make sure that decisions are really valid, they're on time, we need to be supported by data and information, right? So data should be consistent, should be ideally stored in a clearly identified source. It should not be scattered all across organization and sent by email or any other non-reliable method. And information should be also clearly helpful for governance bodies to make sure it's consistent, giving relevant points of discussion and helping really very clear and very helpful decision-making and making sure that we keep track of how we're executing strategy and whether some of the initiatives are still valid and maybe they need to be reconfigured or stopped or whatever. Also, definitely, we need to make sure that the governance operation and each of the business as usual function, change and value generation, they're under strict assurance. So we're making sure that they're really done as, and they're managed, they're governed as they're supposed to be. And maybe it's more clear how to do that for business as usual, but for change and value generation, sometimes it's quite a gray zone. But without business support, which is a key foundation for good decision-making, which, for example, in terms of project management, may be a project management office. But for some other areas, this function that we call business support, somebody who is helping with relevant information, with understanding what is the change portfolio, what are the activities portfolio. Actually, governance cannot survive. And very often it's very much scattered all across organization. And the integration really is the key to the success and effective use of the resource of the business support. And the final bit, which is critical as well, and sometimes forgotten, who is the leader, who is leading the initiative of improving governance, strategy governance all across organization. Because sometimes we believe this is the job of CEO, sometimes we believe it's job of some strategy director or of a PMO head, but it's not always happening because typically we have quite narrow focus either on designing a strategy or on delivering projects or on very high level issues. So really it's a great challenge to find a person who will be leading this governance improvement initiative on an ongoing basis, which very often, this place is very often vacant and needs to be filled if we want to improve our governance systematically and consistently. David?
Yes, so there's a huge amount in that's within this big knowledge set, and that's why we've written all this down in the body of knowledge. There's an outline link which we can share, and the body of knowledge has all this written. How on earth you can explain that in a few minutes, Andre? Well done. But that's it in a nutshell. That's the nutshell, and we can delve into more details and answer questions about this a bit later, but we best press on.